Are you feeling stressed about figuring out your niche? We can get so caught up on trying to figure out who our ideal client is that we forget to stop and think about who we are. Knowing our own identity, who God created us to be, will shine light on who He designed us to serve. So, if you're needing some clarity on your niche, you're listening to the right episode.
Hey, Christian therapist, are you craving a counseling career that aligns with your faith and actually supports your well being? Welcome to the Prosperous Christian Therapist Podcast. I'm Kimberly Van Hooser, Christian therapist, private practice owner, and business coach for mental health professionals like you. In this podcast, you'll get practical strategies and faith led guidance to help you build a thriving private practice, one that serves your clients well and makes an impact for the kingdom of God. So, what are you waiting for? Grab your notebook and join me for today's episode.
Welcome to the Prosperous Christian Therapist Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Van Hooser. If you've been listening to the show for a while and enjoying it, please do me a favor and leave a written review on Apple Podcasts or give me a rating on Spotify. This will really help boost the show's visibility and draw in other mental health professionals like you. So, today we're going to be focusing in on niche development. No matter what business coach you listen to, you'll hear a lot about the importance of having a niche in order to have a successful business. Why is it important to have a niche? In today's economy, especially, we really do need to stand out and set ourselves apart from the other mental health professionals out there. There are so many therapists nowadays that people need to remember you and also feel seen and understood by you. However, I do think this is an area where I see a lot of people really stressing out about figuring out who their ideal client is. They fear boxing themselves in. And I think, especially if you're newer to therapy, you're still exploring who you enjoy serving. So you're not quite sure who you want to market yourself to because you haven't had enough experience to really even explore all the different options out there or to know where you really shine. For one thing, I want you to accept and embrace the fact that you can change your niche and it likely will change over time. Because I think there can be so much pressure build up in figuring out who it is that you want to serve that it keeps you from actually moving forward. It's kind of like when we were high school seniors and trying to figure out what to major in college. I know there was a sense for a lot of people of this pressure of I better choose and know what I want to do now for the rest of my life. And that's a really unfair burden to put on people who are 17, 18 years old who haven't really had the time to learn and mature and grow. So, if you just think about as a therapist, you will continue to learn and grow. You'll gain new experiences. Your interests might change, and that is okay. So, give yourself permission to shift and change your niche as you move forward. A lot of times when people are being encouraged to identify their niche, they're asking questions like, who are my favorite clients? And that is a great place to start sometimes, because if we're able to list off our favorite clients and notice they all have common themes, then that can really help us recognize this is the type of person that I want to work with. But I think it can also create a lot of confusion. For myself, I know I just really enjoy people. So I have a lot of clients where I'm like, I love this client. They are so amazing. They're so great. But honestly, they're all across the board with their age, with the types of problems they're coming in for. So early in my practice, it was hard for me to figure out based on this question of who do I most enjoy working with, what the common denominator was between those clients. So I think first off, what we need to do is shift our thinking from who do I most enjoy to who do I really help the best? Who are we best suited to serve? Not just do I enjoy them, because generally speaking, when we're good at doing something, we will also enjoy our clients. But shifting that question or that language can help us kind of narrow it down a little bit more. However, there is an important step that I think way too often we skim by. We skip over it. I don't ever really hear business coaches asking this question. Before we move into focusing on who is our favorite client or our ideal type of client, we need to know ourselves. We need to know how God created us and who He created us to serve. So before you ask yourself, who are my favorite clients? Ask yourself, who am I? Who am I designed to be? We need to know our own identity before we know the identity of who we're called to serve. And as believers, we have the benefit of knowing that our identity comes from God. And we have the benefit of having access to this loving, all knowing God to be in relationship with Him. So we can spend time with Him, getting to know who He is, and He will in turn reveal to us who we are. I feel like in recent weeks, God's just really been calling me back to remembering who He is so I can remember who I am in Him. One of the attributes of God that has been standing out to me so much is the fact that He is my designer. He's a creator. He created me, He designed me for a purpose. If you've ever built something or designed something from scratch, you know every single ingredient that's in there, you know the inner workings of every single piece of your creation. So God knows you intimately. He knows your design, He knows your makeup better than you know yourself. I think Psalm 139 is such a good depiction of that, where it says, you know when I sit, when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all of my ways. So God knows everything about the innermost workings of your heart. And He intentionally designed you and created you with a purpose. He knew when He was forming you not only what your personality would be, but who you would grow into and what career you would go into. And even within that career, He knows who you're going to serve. God knows your niche. You were designed to help certain people in a certain environment as well too. I think about that if God designed me so intimately, He knows the environment or atmosphere that I am best suited to thrive in. For any of you who have ever purchased a house plant before, there's a certain type of soil, a certain type of lighting, a certain type of climate that it is best suited for to thrive in. And the same is true for us. When God created us, He knew there's a certain type of environment where Kimberly is going to thrive. So, for many of you who are still on the fence about stepping into private practice, maybe consider where you're working now. Is that the best environment for you to thrive? Or if you're in private practice, is it set up right now in a way that is conducive for you to most thrive? Because God had a plan and an intentionality for that. But coming back to niche, when we think about an attribute of God, like God being a designer, not only is that so great for us in our own personal life of knowing we're not just some random mistake or a random mismatch of ingredients, but that God was intentional in how He created us. But then when we take it a step further and think about what does that mean for my private practice, for the clients that I serve, He's going to shine light on who He's calling you to serve. So if you have felt stressed out by determining your niche, if you have felt stuck in figuring out who you best serve, I encourage you to take some time this week. Go sit with God, reflect on who He is as your God, what His different roles are. He's a father, He's a provider, He is a friend who will confide in His beloved. And as you sit in that, think about what that means for you and who you are as a person. And next, what does that mean for the work that you do? Ephesians 2:10 is one of my favorite verses. It says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." So, with that verse, it tells us that God already has things established for you to participate in that will bring about good in the world. He has good works established for you in advance. And I believe that that means who I'm called to serve as a therapist. I think so many Christians often forget how much we have access to as daughters of God. So if you are lacking clarity, if you're lacking wisdom, it says we can go to God and He will give generously to all those who ask for it. So I just really encourage you take some time and sit with Him this week. Think about, reflect on who He is and how He created you, and ask Him to give you wisdom and vision to show you who it is that you're called to serve. Invite Him in to help you identify your niche. Surrender any confusion to Him or lack of clarity to Him, and just trust that He will continue to guide and shape you as you gain experience as a therapist, that He will bring the right people into your office that you have the ability to help now, and it will help clarify what else He has for you. Trust that He has already established the good works for you to participate in, and that you're not going to miss those. I hope this episode has been encouraging to those of you who are listening. As I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, if you've been enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving me a written review. Also, feel free to share with other mental health professionals that might find it useful. If you're needing some extra guidance and support just to really hone in on what the needs are of your practice and to get some breakthrough in that area, I do offer one-to-one coaching and mentoring. I would love to be able to support you to help you identify any mindset barriers you have, develop a plan for a marketing strategy, and really get yourself going in the right direction. So if that's you, feel free to reach out to me. I will drop my contact information in the show notes below. Thanks so much for listening, and I look forward to having you with me next time. If you found value in today's episode, would you leave a written review on Apple Podcasts? It helps other faith-led clinicians like you find the show. And don't forget to join my free Facebook community, Start and Grow Your Private Practice as a Christian Therapist, where you'll join other clinicians for encouragement, accountability, and free tips and support. See you there.